What's going on, yo? Welcome back to basketball, and more importantly, welcome back to free agency. Now, free agency has kind of slowed down quite a bit, right? Obviously, we've seen Damian Lillard go back home, Chris Paul's going back to the Clippers. That's really exciting, but we still have some names that haven't really found a home yet. And thankfully, the boy Keith Smith, if you don't follow Keith Smith on X or Twitter or whatever, you should. He's a really good follow, but he posted something that was like, hey, here's the best remaining free agents, and I tend to agree with the list for the most part. So I'm like, hey, let's find a home for all the remaining free agents. We've got our little ultimate spreadsheet here to kind of help us track free agency and take a look at all this stuff. So I figure let's find some homes for all of these people. But before we do that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment to my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. We tried to do a new video. We did this little reaction to The Office and the basketball scenes, and that video got taken down. So you know what? We tried something new. We pushed ourselves as a creator, but it got taken down. But as always, there's a bunch of other things you guys to watch, like Summer League film sessions and other free agency related news, some stats videos here. It's a good time, even though it's kind of a boring time of the NBA season. But without further ado, let's jump into it. Alrighty, so there's two things that we're going to use in this video pretty substantially. Obviously, we're going to use the list that Keith has here. I also just went ahead and added a little thing to the spreadsheet that kind of talks about where are there still even roster spots available, right? So just taking a look at this list really quickly, you can see which teams have roster space, which ones don't. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, and that's going to kind of help us guide, or going to help us figure out where guys can even realistically go, instead of just clicking through all of these for every single instance and every single player. And I'm wondering, should we start with the restricted free agents, or should we just go and save those for last? I don't know. I feel like the restricted free agents, it makes a lot of sense why they're taking so long, because restricted free agents are in this interesting spot where for the first time there's really like no leverage on their side whatsoever, because teams just don't have the money to offer these guys to try to pry them away from other teams. The few teams with cap space left are what, like maybe a Detroit, right? And then Brooklyn. I mean, no, they don't even have cap space at this point, so it's probably just Brooklyn. And then does Washington have space left? Like, they have space, and then I'm guessing Chicago technically does, but that's because they haven't offered Giddey yet. So there's really not a lot of teams, and this is still only like $13 million, only $13 million, but there's no room for these guys to go get an offer elsewhere. So these teams are smartly saying like, okay, well, it's either this or you just kind of take your qualifying offer of a lot less money, and then these guys are probably saying, fine, we'll take that, and then we're just going to leave in free agency, to which the NBA teams say, okay, again, who's going to pay you next season then? And so restricted free agents might be getting a little bit less money than they used to going forward, which I find to just be another interesting byproduct of the new CBA and everything. But let's just start off with some of these restricted free agents. Let's start with Josh Giddey. He's going to stay in Chicago. I don't think there's any way that he doesn't, mostly because there's no one else that can really offer him anything. The Bulls are in this really interesting spot where I'm actually kind of glad that they're getting a lot more media attention in kind of a negative way. A lot of analysts and stuff, whether it's like Bill Simmons or other people, are finally kind of getting on to basketball news media. I believe Zach Lowe or something was talking about it recently too, where they're like, y'all, when are we going to get on the Bulls for just kind of being such a dumbass organization? Look, I'm a Bulls fan. I'm not even trying to just complain because it's my team. Like, just objectively, I try to be really objective with this stuff. It's the Bulls and the Kings. What are those two teams doing? Nobody has any clue what they're doing. So the Bulls bring back Giddey. Probably going to have unrealistic expectations on him that he needs to be like this number one guy, scoring like 20-ish points a game. Well, maybe on this team he does, but like going forward, if you were to try to make a contending team out of him, he's not option probably 1 or 2. He's probably a 3 at best. Like, that, his role is more so be an elite playmaker and things like that. You guys understand Josh Giddey's game. I like Josh Giddey a lot. I do. And I hope to see him back on the Bulls. There's part of me that's like, man, set him free too. Like, he's already dealing with the nonsense of the Bulls. And does he maybe deserve $30 million right now? It's hard to say, because he only played in like really elite basketball in March, but that's also when they opened up the roster and gave him more opportunity. So it's kind of hard to evaluate. I'm going to guess he comes back to the Bulls at around like $25-ish million, something like that. Or maybe they really don't end up getting anything, and he just comes back on the qualifying, which, whatever, man, good for you. I suppose he'll probably slot back in at that starting point guard role, and the Bulls will roll out with whatever the hell this team is, I guess. And yeah, they'll go from there. So let's stop talking about the Bulls. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Quentin Grimes, man, did he have a fun end of the season last year. I have to imagine he ends up back in Philly. They do have a roster spot still open. The complicated thing is they are pushing themselves very close to that second apron, and realistically, should Quentin Grimes get like, man, in previous seasons, yeah, he probably gets like $20 to $22 million. But with the lack of leverage he has now, they're probably saying, hey, we don't want to go into that second apron. We don't want to give you more than 18 mil a year, which I don't know, man. Quentin Grimes has had a couple injuries in his career, right? When he has played, he's been pretty damn good. This team will also probably say, we don't necessarily need you. We have Maxey, McCain, VJ Edgecombe, right? I mean, hell, Justin Edwards could slide in at that position as well, but obviously they would like to have him because he is a very good basketball player, and this team does have a shot to be really competitive this year, presuming people are healthy, which it's already sounding like Embiid is not, but we don't need to talk about that right now. So I'm going to guess that he'll be back here, whether it's again accepting his qualifying offer or something less than like this kind of 18-ish million. And by the way, all the numbers in this spreadsheet might not be completely finalized, as numbers are still kind of being tweaked in the background for a lot of people, so just take these as somewhat estimates that are being tracked here. But yeah, I'm going to guess that they either bring him back for less than the second apron, or he just kind of accepts his qualifying offer and comes back. But I don't see him ending up anywhere else again, unless, like, does Brooklyn, let's move back over to Brooklyn here. Is there any shot they go after it? No, they need to actually clear roster space, which they could do. They could just get rid of, like, one of these four guys, and it's probably fine. But I'm going to hide this sheet, too, because I don't need this open right now. So, yeah, I'm going to just guess that he's back in Philly, though. Let's move on to Cam Thomas. That's one where we can talk about Brooklyn. Again, Brooklyn is quite literally the only team that can really throw anything at him. I don't think Cam Thomas needs to go to Washington. It feels like this is a team that just needs anybody that can put the ball in the hoop right now, because Michael Porter Jr. will shoot the ball whenever he gets it. Cam Thomas is a creator. They don't really have much else going for them right here. They've got a bunch of rookies here, like Terrence Mann, which... cool, but it's not a great roster, right? It's not a very good basketball roster. You might as well give Cam Thomas some money, let him go get some buckets over the next couple years. How much is he gonna get? Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna guess somewhere around the 20-ish million is my guess. Maybe it'll be less. I can't imagine it being more, because again, where else does he go? Does he just accept his qualifying offer? I mean, dude's been kind of fighting for roster space his whole career. I feel like you want to get a long-term contract at some point, man, and this is the best place for you to get opportunity to do what you do best, which is shoot the basketball. So I feel like he'll just end up here on a longer-term contract, and I don't know if they'll cut Martin or Johnson or Wilson. Drew Timmy's been working his ass off to try to keep that roster spot in Summer League, so maybe he'll stick around, but they also have a couple other bigs on the team, so maybe he's just kind of the odd man out, and I don't necessarily anticipate Drew Timmy having a large impact in the NBA going forward. I hope he does. I obviously root for everybody, but I think Cam Thomas will probably just end up back here in Brooklyn. I guess they'll have to cut two people in order to make that work, huh? So yeah, two of these people, which, like, you shouldn't lose sleep over if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan. Moving on to the final restricted free agent, Jonathan Kuminga. This is the one that I can't imagine he ends up back in Golden State. Now, Golden State Warriors fans, I know some of you guys are being a little riled up right now, and I know on the internet, you're like, EVC, my team hasn't fucking signed any free agents. What the hell's going on? Mike Dunleavy's so dumb. Relax, okay? It's Tuesday morning. You need to take a chill pill. It's all going to be okay. I promise you it will. Your team is doing the smart thing, and I promise you they're working right now. I think we all kind of understand what's going on if we have half a brain, where they're trying to trade Kuminga right now, right? He's a restricted free agent. They're going to try to do a sign and trade with him. He doesn't want to be there anymore. They don't necessarily want to keep him. I'm sure that they're like, hey, you can stay for like $15-ish million or something, to which he's like, you can go fuck yourself, right? Which... does he deserve more than that? It's hard to say, right? It really is, because of his, like, his play style is just odd, right? Because there's no real basketball logic to anything. He's literally just really athletic. And that's great. He's incredibly skilled, has a lot of potential, but we haven't really seen him improve at all, outside of just playing NBA basketball and just getting more comfortable with playing NBA basketball, but he's not, like, getting smarter, you know what I mean? But anyway, you guys have free agents that are definitely, like, quote unquote signed, like they're just waiting for the restricted free agency situation to resolve itself so that they can go ahead and join the team afterwards. So don't worry, you guys are going to have some free agents by the end of this. Believe it or not, they're not going to just roll up with this roster that you guys are kind of seeing up here. They won't. I promise you. They've got other free agents waiting for them. But I think Kuminga's going to end up elsewhere. And from my understanding of talking to people, they are just trying to pry the Chicago Bulls to do it. So I want to try to figure out what this deal could look like. And trying to trade with the Chicago Bulls has to probably be the most frustrating thing. So I'm sorry, Warriors fans. Because they're like, look, isn't this the type of guy you want? And the Bulls are like, yes. And do I necessarily want Josh Giddey on my Jonathan Kuminga on my basketball team? Not really. I would be really confused because I'm like, okay, this is what Buzelis and Asenge are kind of supposed to be too. So we're just hoping that like one of these guys kind of becomes something or what? I don't know. It'd be a really odd situation, but like also fuck it. If you can get a guy like that, I guess I don't care that much. We're not going anywhere anyway. So the Bulls are probably like, but we don't really want to give you anything for him. So yeah. Let's try and figure out how we can make this work. So let's just assume that Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a part of some sort of sign and trade. Let's give him a standard contract. Are we giving him 4 years? Fuck it, let's give him 4 years, around 25-ish. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm guessing the money's what's really holding up a lot of the conversation, more so than actually the trade. But let's just say it's something like that. 4 years, $100 million, because they just did something similar with Patrick Williams, an unproven player like that, and so maybe the Bulls will do it again. And I don't know. Why the hell not? So trade him to the Bulls. Who do they get back in a deal like this? Just taking a look at like the Bulls and their depth chart. What could they do? You don't necessarily need Zach Collins on this team. He's on a 1 year. You could theoretically move Zach Collins over there. Do you really want to do that if you're Golden State? Probably not. Just taking a look at your salary cap situation, that would instantly kind of put you through that luxury tax, which, look, you're going to do probably regardless, but you probably don't want to take back that kind of money on things, and the Bulls can absorb some salary. So who do you send over, though, is my question. Are you sending over like a Jalen Smith? Jalen Smith would probably be pretty valuable to a group like this, but you have to assume they've already got another center kind of lined up to play. Is it an Io DeSumo? I mean, you kind of already have a guy similar to that in like Pods, and Moses Moody, again, is kind of a similar type of player, so I'm not sure I necessarily see that. That's what makes this kind of complicated. Could it simply just be like a, let's just start with Javon Carter, right? Just money-wise, okay, that doesn't work. They need to still cut $11 million, really. So even though it only technically counts as like, oh, it only counts as half coming from the Warriors, his salary, so I have to remember that. Okay, what else can we throw into this? Or does it need to be like a Kevin Huerter or something like that? Can we throw Kevin Huerter at him? Because he doesn't necessarily need to be on the Bulls, and they could probably use a wing with a little bit more size. So you do something like that. That ends up working. Okay, they end up taking on a lot more money. How much lower can they realistically go than that? Because you're probably not sending over a Kobe White for him. You just got a Coro. Doesn't make a ton of sense. Again, I don't think you need to do Jalen Smith. They just signed Trey Jones. Could just, again, we're doing math here. I know the DeSumo one doesn't work. I just want to see like how much we're off by this. We're off by still $9 million. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So yeah, it's got to be like a Kevin Huerter or something like that. So let's throw Kevin Huerter over there. Cool. They definitely have to give up a pick or something like that. Probably a second-round pick, because the Bulls throw a second-round pick into everything. There you go. Trade him over there. We're your only hope of doing things anyway. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. There you go. So that's what I'm going to presume happens, is something along those lines. I'm not saying it'll be exactly this, but I think Kuminga's probably going to end up on the Bulls more likely than not. But who knows? Maybe the Bulls will screw it up. I just don't know, like, realistically, where else Kuminga could go. Like, what of these other teams? Like, Brooklyn's one of the few other ones, or like the Jazz, but like they don't really have the capacity to take on players like that. And again, I just don't know why Brooklyn goes for it at this point. Otherwise, Who else would it be? I have no clue who else would really like jump on a player like that. So I'm just going to assume that it's going to be the Bulls. So moving on to other people now, because I want to talk about other people. Let's just go to the top with these point guards. What teams need point guards? So Malcolm Brogdon first. Who needs another veteran guard on the team? Probably not the Sixers, not the Bulls, right? The Cavs. The Cavs have Lonzo, but I mean, they could still use a guy like that. The Clippers, they already just went and got another guard. The Hawks. Let's take a look at Atlanta here. They still have a couple roles to fill. They could probably use another guard on this team. I know Kobe Buffkin can kind of have the ball sometimes. So can Dyson Daniels, right? Jalen Johnson has the ball sometimes. Obviously, Trey's going to have it a lot. Maybe you want to give the ball to Vit a little bit more, but this team's clearly trying to be a little bit more competitive. I wouldn't mind seeing a Malcolm Brogdon out there, especially because if you ever did, for whatever reason, have to throw him out with Trey, you probably could. So I don't hate that fit at all. I think that would be kind of a good spot for him. Take a look at like teams like the Heat. Do they need another ball handler? I mean, they got obviously Norm Powell added to the team. The whole hero thing is a weird experiment that they're kind of trying, it seems like, of making him kind of a primary ball handler. Hopefully it's Yakachonis going forward. Could the Knicks use a Malcolm Brogdon? No, they're pretty good at guard, especially with like Jordan Clarkson here, which again, you don't want him with the ball too much, otherwise scary things can happen, but not the worst thing in the world. The Lakers technically have an open roster spot, but that situation's weird now. I was really surprised they cut Jordan Goodwin, just from like a value standpoint. His contract was pretty like great for them and like what you actually got on the court. Like I kind of figured they were just gonna find a way to trade like a Maxi Kleba or something like that, dump him to the Bulls for a Javon Carter or something like that, so that you could bring Marcus Smart in legally, because the Lakers can't go into the first apron, which now they're just below it, but they can't even sign somebody now with this amount of money left. So it's kind of a weird move in my mind, but is what it is. The Magic, probably not. Denver, yeah, Denver's probably the most logical fit, right? They have one more open roster spot. They got space before the first apron. They need another guard on the team. That's probably the right one. And Russell Westbrook would probably be option one for them, just because he played on the team this last year. He was very valuable to them. So I'm going to say kind of the same thing for Westbrook or Brogdon. Like, those two should kind of be fighting to be in Denver, I feel like. I know some people have said, like, Westbrook should go home to OKC. They don't actually have open roster space at this point unless they want to trade Jeng, which it kind of feels like they might just let him fall off the books at the end of the year, because they just don't give a shit at this point. They've got so much talent. Look at all this green. You damn bastards in OKC. But so yeah, that's kind of what I'd say is one of these two should probably end up in Denver. If not that, I don't really even know. Let me just familiarize myself with the rest of the Pelicans. No. Pistons, no. Rockets, maybe just for like a shooter for Brogdon. The Spurs probably don't need it. The Suns, yeah, if you want playing time, you can go to Phoenix. That's totally something you can do, because right now Gillespie's their point guard, and I'm sure Jalen Green's going to try to have the ball a decent amount, and I'm not sure how much you actually want that. So I could see Phoenix being an option for one of them as well. The Timberwolves, I would love to see something like that. Yeah, they just need some sort of guard help here, and they have 2 open roster spots still, so yeah, one of you guys could go there as well. I'd love to see Westbrook and Anthony Edwards on the same team. That would be kind of sick. So I'm going to say Denver number 1, maybe a Minnesota number 2. Atlanta's still a good option for any of these guys. If I'm looking at a Ben Simmons, who needs kind of this forward position? You look at the Knicks. Let's talk about the Knicks. Is that the kind of place he wants to play, or does he want to play in a more low-key place? You could probably use another sizable wing on this team, just because you have Mikal, you have OG. Gershon's more of a forward than a wing. Like, Josh Hart's a little bit smaller. Even Mikal's not like the biggest. So Ben Simmons here does probably make a lot of sense. It's just kind of a different look of player, right? He can play a lot of different positions still. Still a great passer. He's going to get you some rebounds. He's going to do some goofy shit still and make us all a little bit sad. But Ben Simmons to the Knicks feels like it makes a lot of sense. I feel like they're probably just waiting for other dominoes to fall before they go and try to look at something like that. But that's where I'd look. And then Jared Butler. I'm not sure he's going to get an NBA contract, and so that's kind of going to be my prediction for him. He's not a bad basketball player, like, at all. Like, if I just pull up like a Jared Butler right here, you'll see like overall like kind of an above average player for the most part, but I don't know. He was obviously on Philly this last year, if I can pull them up. I suppose you could bring him back. It feels like a little bit of a redundancy, but McCain also isn't like a true point guard either, so you could probably justify him coming back here if you want to use the last roster spot. I also wouldn't be mad if this team just said, like, no, let's just roll it out with 14 and we'll try to make a move at some point this year, depending on where injuries are or something, because maybe like Drummond still isn't quite there. Maybe Embiid's just not coming together and you're trying to still be competitive and you don't want Bona and Broom to be kind of your only two big, so you want to go try to find another one. I could see something like that happening. So I'm going to say that Butler, not quite as likely. All right, Mr. Melton. Let's just be honest. That dude's going to Golden State. He had such a good time with Golden State the previous season before he got hurt. Let's just pull him up here. Mr. D'Anthony Melton. As you can see, numbers are pretty incredible. He was hooping for them. He gets hurt. He gets traded to Brooklyn. He's almost certainly coming back here. A lot of us believe that he just has a verbal agreement to join the Warriors again as soon as the Kuminga stuff is figured out. So Warriors fans, just calm down, right? Stay out of the comments. I don't need y'all go EVC, but my team isn't signing. Shut the fuck up. You're stupid. Just be objective for like 2 seconds. But yeah, he's going back to Golden State. I just have to imagine that's where he's going to go get a lot of success there. They could use a guy like that. Great, good for him. Let's move on. Gary Payton. Does he go anywhere but Golden State? I mean, let's think about this, right? Golden State technically has 4 roster spots open, and that's presuming that Tui and Richard make the roster. I bet you Tui does because he'll be cheap. I bet you Richard just becomes a two-way player or something like that. So realistically, they're going to have like 5 open spots. So I don't know why you don't bring Gary Payton here because he does play such a specific role defensively, and he really just only seems to play well winning Golden State. So I'll say, if anywhere, this is where he's probably going to end up as well. Alec Burks. This is an interesting one. So Alec Burks, at every single point in his career, he's been out there to go get a bucket and be kind of a secondary playmaker. You throw him out there for 20 minutes, dude's going to find a way to get you 15 points. That's what we say about him. Obviously, can shoot the basketball, can handle the rock a little bit. Probably don't want to give him too big of a role at this point, but who could use another guard on their team to kind of help round out the roster? Probably not the Warriors in like his position. Portland, probably not considering their current roster makeup, like the Timberwolves. If I were to take a look at Minnesota here, I feel like they've got enough guys kind of at that position, so I'm not feeling that one necessarily. The Suns, they have plenty of 2 guards already. The Spurs, no. Rockets, let's take a look at Houston. They could always use a little bit more shooting. Yeah, that feels like kind of a good place. They got a lot of vets on the team already, but why not bring one more in to kind of help the really young guys in the team, in the Amen Thompsons, the Reed Shepherds, right? Even Şengün, Jabari Smith, right? Yeah, this feels like a good spot for him in Houston. I don't necessarily think Alec Burks will get signed, but if anywhere, that could be one. The Pistons. Interesting. What are the Pistons looking like at this point? They obviously picked up LeVert. Ivy's going to be healthy this year. They added Duncan Robinson. They've got enough vets on this team. They could probably add one more because Chaz Lanier, I don't anticipate him playing NBA minutes anytime soon. So I wouldn't be mad if this team did that, just because it'd be another sign of like, hey, we're trying to help out Cade Cunningham, right? And try to add another ball handler, another shooter onto the roster. So I could see something like that. Pelicans, no. Nuggets don't necessarily need him at this point. Not the Knicks. Again, the Lakers can't really do anything. The Magic always need shooting. But if we take a look at Orlando's roster, is there a spot for him? Yeah, there's probably a spot for him, and they could probably use another vet on the team, right? Because like, where are their vets currently? You got a Tyus. Desmond's not quite that category yet. You got none here. You don't really have any here. Yeah, you could probably use an Alec Burks on this team. Throw him on Orlando, man. Y'all got an open roster spot. It's probably going to push you over the first apron if you do so, though, won't it? Because he's going to cost more than the 2.4. So maybe you can't go get a vet here unless you can find a way to move somebody else. But otherwise, that would have been kind of an interesting fit for him. But I'm going to say Houston still. That one seems to make the most sense to me. All right, small forwards. For a lot of these, I don't necessarily think anything's going to happen with these. Like Imani Bates, Kessler Edwards, Lamar Stevens, I don't necessarily see them getting a roster spot, so we're just going to skip them. Torrey Craig, maybe like midway through the season or something. It just feels like for the first time in his career, he didn't really contribute a whole bunch this last season, and so he might just be out. Amir Coffey, Like, that's a guy that can, like, he can handle the rock a little bit. He's 6'7". He shot the ball pretty well this last year. Like, somebody needs, like, kind of a potential 3-and-D wing. I know his defense wasn't actually, like, all that great this last year, just pulling up numbers in and of itself. Like, the defense wasn't good on a good defensive team, which is a little bit concerning. The offensive numbers, I wouldn't worry about those, like, too much. I feel like some of the stuff at the rim wasn't the greatest, but, like, dude can step out and hit at his size. So who could use a guy like this? Well, honestly, the Hawks, they could use another sizable wing on the team. So, and they've got 3 more roster spots to fill. So I could totally see something like that. The Cavaliers, they're always interested in adding more forwards to this team. I mean, you already have Hunter. You have Strus, who's a little bit undersized. Tyson's of good size. So if you wanted to add someone else, his team's already damn expensive, but, like, you know, like, why the hell not? I'm not sure Coffey's going to go to a team like this where he doesn't get to play a ton, though, because he's probably trying to get the next contract or whatever. He could very well just go back to the Clippers if no one else picks him up. We already talked about the Hawks. The Heat. Do the Heat need an Amir Coffey? You look at some of the guys they have here. I feel like they'll just make do with these kind of forwards that they have. So probably not. The Knicks, sure. Yeah, we kind of talked about that. He could totally have a role on that team. And, you know, Tom Thibodeau will make him play defense. The Lakers would be kind of cool. But again, they've put themselves in a weird situation now. The Magic, yeah, you could theoretically go for something like that. But I feel like you have a lot of other guys at that position. Denver, I don't think you need to, but I wouldn't be mad at it. Pelicans, no. Pistons, no. Rockets, not particularly. The Spurs, let me take a look at the Spurs. What the Spurs looking like at this point? Looking at these forward spots, you have Keldon. Vassell's kind of playing out of position here. You have Champagne, you have Bryant. Nah, you got other people that you'd probably rather have on the court over him anyway. The Suns, they could probably use people at that position, but I don't know. Timberwolves? Again, whenever I see Shooter, I go, yeah, that would be nice, but I don't know how he cracks this rotation. It's a tough rotation to crack, so I'm going to say probably not. Portland, Golden State would be kind of cool, and again, they need people at that kind of size and position because Butler's really the only sizable wing they have, so give me Golden State, give me the Clippers, and give me Atlanta. Those are kind of the couple teams that I'm thinking for Amir Coffey. The power forward spot. Okay, Bol. Not sure he's going to get picked up at this point. For those that don't actually watch, like, basketball like that, I know Bol is fun. I know it's probably not going to happen. Defensively, he's out of position all the time. Offensively, it's even more so. It's just, it doesn't seem like he's picking it up, unfortunately. I'd love to see him go play overseas. I think that'd be kind of cool. Precious Achiuwa, I feel like he's just going to end up back on the Knicks, right? I mean, how many spots do the Knicks have open still? 2. And I don't want Huck Porty being the third big, so just throw him back there, man. He was solid for them. Maybe he wants an opportunity to play a little bit more, but I don't think many mid-level exception or much mid-level exception money is left for him out there. So just go back to New York, man. Like, Mitchell Robinson's probably going to get hurt at some point. Knock on wood. I hope that doesn't happen. But you're going to get some burn, and they will put you out there. They're going to put you out there, because I promise you, if there's one thing that this Knicks team is going to do this year, is they are going to play their bench, right? Because a coach just got fired because he did everything well but manage his rotational minutes. So you best believe that coach is going to make sure that those players are out there. So I wouldn't mind seeing him back out there with this group. I think that'd be a nice addition for them because he can kind of play the center or the forward spot for them. Yeah, I just feel like he's going to go back on the Knicks. Is there anywhere else he could realistically go that I'm not thinking about that could use a big like that? I guess if you wanted to say maybe Cleveland, but again, they're still only going to give you a minimum. They did add Larry Nance, but I'd probably rather have Achiuwa at this point, so that's what I'm going to guess. Trey Lyles, really solid player, like just consistently every year is going to be like, okay from 3, okay rebounder, okay defender, right? Like who's a contending team that could use a guy like that? Golden State, probably, right? Honestly, Golden State was another one for Ben Simmons that we thought of that could be kind of interesting. But Golden State, that's definitely one that I wouldn't mind seeing him on that roster, just because, again, another spacing big with a little bit of size to him, like not huge, but I believe like 6'8", 6'9", a little bit of strength. I don't hate that at all. So who have we kind of figured that they're adding at this point? We've already said, let's add Melton, maybe Peyton. We said maybe Coffee. and then they have to take somebody back in a Kaminga trade, right? So that would be 4. And then if we did like a Trey Lyles or something, so maybe we don't do a Coffee. They should probably do a Coffee. Maybe you don't do Peyton or something. I don't know. That's a tough one. Is there anyone else you can remove from this roster? Isn't Guy Santos' contract not guaranteed? Man, I'd remove him to sign some of these other guys. Like, nothing against Guy Santos. I'm just being real. Because the other one we're probably going to talk about at some point is Al Horford, who's almost certainly going to Golden State. It just makes too much sense not to. So let's just presume he's going there as well. I'd maybe get rid of Guy Santos, go for Trey as well. That's just my idea. Chris Boucher. Let's talk about Chris Boucher, since I'm saying I want Trey Lyles in Golden State. Where could Chris Boucher go? He could be another Warriors option, but I feel like if they're going to go get like a big, they want to get somebody a little bit more dynamic than Chris Boucher. I don't know like where he ends up. What is Toronto like looking like at this point with their roster? So they actually have -1 spots, which you can get rid of AJ Lawson and Colin Castleton. I'm not sure even if they've already done that for all I know. You could just bring him back here because your big man rotation is kind of goofy at this point in time on like a 1-year contract, which whatever, right? It's not a big deal if you go and do that. Like, yes, you're probably going to try and get Mugbo and Murray Boyles out there a little bit more, but yeah, you could probably use another big out there that's not Mamu. I do love Mamu, though. Mamu's a lot of fun to watch. What other team could really use like another forward or big like that? How many spots does Denver have left? Where are my Nuggets? They got 1 spot left. I'd rather them go get a guard. I feel like that's more important. Okay. Otherwise, there's like the Rockets. The Rockets have enough bigs. The Spurs. Do the Spurs need any more size? Maybe. You could. You very well could. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, though. Just going through and looking at a couple others. The Suns. I feel like they're probably fine for now. Timberwolves, sure. Warriors, like, yeah. I feel like either the Hawks, just because again they could maybe use like one more. No, they probably don't even, just because like that rotation is pretty set. I feel like they just need like an actual like forward and probably another point guard or 2 on the team. So I'm gonna say somehow back on Toronto. They clear out some other space and he goes there if anybody. We talked about Al Horford. He's probably already got an agreement to go to Golden State. For some of these other guys, I'm not sure that Bassie, Jordan, or Biyombo are necessarily going to find a spot. A lot of teams need bigs, so we'll think about Thomas Bryant just because we sometimes see him be really productive with the energy that he has, and sometimes he can hit threes, sometimes it's not as pretty. Guess it could be a reserve option for the Sixers, probably not the Bulls. Cleveland could be a good spot for him, just as like, again, a reserve big out there. Clippers, probably okay for now. Looking at the Hawks, probably don't need one. The Heat need another big, or do they want to go get another guard? They could probably use one more big. He's played there before. He wasn't necessarily the happiest there by my understandings, but you know, it is what it is. Maybe you got to do what you got to do. Knicks could be another reserve spot for him. The Lakers, I suppose. Denver, I don't think so. Again, I feel like they need to prioritize a ball handling guard. Otherwise that could get nasty really quickly. Pelicans, no. Pistons, no. No. Okay, so I feel like it's either the Sixers or the Cavs, if anybody, for Thomas Bryant here. And again, we said Al Horford, probably going back to Golden State. So that right there is where I think that some of the best remaining free agents are going to go. I'm curious to kind of hear your thoughts. Tell me who you want your favorite team to sign, or if you're a Charlotte Hornets fan, who y'all going to cut? Who y'all cutting from this team? It's got to be Jeffries, probably a Kogi, because he's not guaranteed as much as you'd probably like to keep him. Maybe you buy out Connaughton or something like that, and then like Nick Smith, I guess, just because you have a lot of other guys and you don't necessarily need Nick Smith anymore. But I don't know. You guys let me know down in the comments below, but I appreciate it as always. Let's move on to the comments of the video. Alrighty, y'all. Comment of the video is coming from our Chris Paul signs with the Clippers video, and it's coming from Not Surge. Not exactly sure what that means, but he said the unction, because, you know, there's a lot of really old players on this Clippers roster now, a lot of them, and I just found it particularly funny to be like, yeah, this is the all Unk team. Even this, they're like, if Al Horford signs with the Warriors, they could face the Clippers in the Unk championship. Like, yeah, man, like, yeah, it's an old team. It's a really, really old team. But seriously, I appreciate you guys as always. Go join the Discord. Link is in the description below. We're talking hoops on there all the time. I appreciate you guys as always, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks so much.